The unseen hero. A mother's courage, a billionaire's heart. Imagine a bustling city street, a moment of pure chaos, and a split-second decision that changes everything. What if risking your life for a stranger led you not to ruin, but to a destiny you never dreamed possible? This is a story about courage, unexpected connections, and how one selfless act can rewrite the future for 3 lives forever. Have you ever witnessed a moment of extraordinary bravery? Share your story in the comments below. And if this tale inspires you, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring narratives. Chapter 1. The Leap of Faith. It was a bright Tuesday in October when Clara Hayes finished her cleaning shift at the exclusive Grand Regent Hotel, the most luxurious establishment in all of London. At 32, she had worked there for 5 years, waking up every morning at 4:30 a.m. to arrive punctually at 6 o'clock a.m. Her navy blue uniform was always impeccable, her hands calloused from years of hard work, but her smile never faltered when she greeted the millionaire guests who barely even looked at her. Clara was a single mother of 2, 8-year-old Leo and little 4-year-old Mia. After her husband abandoned them 3 years ago, she had struggled alone to raise her family. The hotel job didn't pay much, barely £800 a month, but it was stable and allowed her to have a fixed schedule to pick up the children from school and daycare. "See you tomorrow, Clara," her colleague, Rose, shouted from the other end of the hallway as she packed her things. "Have a good rest, Rose," Clara replied, adjusting the strap of her worn handbag. Inside, she carried the leftover lunch she had saved from the staff canteen, a half-eaten sandwich that would be her dinner that night, because all available money went to food for Leo and Mia. She exited through the employee door, which led directly onto the main avenue. The hotel was located in the city's most elegant financial district, surrounded by gleaming corporate buildings and luxury cars that cost more than she would earn in 10 years. As she walked towards the bus stop, Clara checked her phone. 3:45 p.m. Perfect. She would arrive just in time to pick up Mia from daycare at 4:30, and then they would get Leo, who finished school at 5 o'clock. It was a routine she had perfected over the years, calculating every minute to fit her tight budget. The bus cost £2 per trip, so she always walked the 6 blocks to the cheapest stop, even if it meant walking through less safe areas. But that day, as she crossed the street in front of the hotel, something made her stop, dead in her tracks. The sound of an engine violently accelerating filled the air. Clara turned and saw a black van speeding down the avenue, clearly out of control. The driver seemed distracted, talking on the phone, and hadn't noticed that the traffic light had turned red. And then she saw her. A small girl, no more than 5 years old, had started to cross the street with her nanny. The woman caring for her was distracted, checking her phone, and hadn't realized the light had changed. The girl, dressed in a stylish pink coat and shoes that probably cost more than Clara's weekly salary, walked slowly, stopping to look at the birds in the trees. The van was approaching at over 60 kilometers per hour. The nanny still didn't notice. Other pedestrians screamed, but they were too far away to do anything. Clara didn't think. Her body reacted before her mind. She lunged into the street like lightning, her worn work shoes slipping slightly on the damp asphalt. Her heart pounded so hard, she could feel it in her ears as she ran towards the girl. The roar of the van's engine grew louder, closer. "Child!" Clara screamed with all the strength of her lungs. The little girl turned, confused, her big blue eyes full of innocence. Clara reached her just as the van was mere meters away. Without a second's hesitation, she wrapped the girl in her arms and threw herself onto the sidewalk, rolling on the ground to protect her from the impact. The screech of brakes filled the air. The van stopped centimeters from where they had been seconds before, leaving black marks on the pavement. The smell of burning rubber invaded the air. Clara found herself on the ground. The little girl clutched to her chest, both trembling but unharmed. Her work uniform was dirty and torn at the knee, her hands scraped by the pavement. But the girl was perfectly fine. "Are you all right, little one?" Clara asked softly, checking the girl for any injuries. "Does anything hurt?" The girl looked at her with those huge blue eyes, still in shock, but without a single tear. "No, nothing hurts," she whispered in a sweet voice. "Are you okay?" Clara felt her heart melt. Despite the scare, this little girl worried about her. "I'm fine, sweetheart. Everything's fine." In seconds, a crowd had formed around them. The nanny, a young woman who looked like she was about to faint, ran towards them. "Sophie! Oh my God, Sophie!" she cried hysterically. "Madam, thank you so much. You saved her life." But then Clara heard another voice that chilled her blood. What on earth happened here? A man stepped out of a black Mercedes that had just arrived. He wore a suit that probably cost more than Clara's annual salary, his hair perfectly coiffed, and he had an expression of absolute panic on his face. He was handsome in an intimidating way, with gray eyes that at that moment were filled with terror. "Sophie!" The man ran towards them and knelt beside the girl. "My child, are you hurt? What happened?" "Daddy." The little girl, Sophie, launched herself into the man's arms. "The lady saved me. A big car almost hurt me, but she protected me." The man picked up his daughter, thoroughly checking her for any injuries, his hands visibly trembling. When he finally made sure she was all right, his eyes turned to Clara, who was still sitting on the ground, feeling the pain in her hands and knees begin to intensify. "You saved her?" he asked, his voice hoarse with emotion. Yes," Clara replied, trying to stand up. A woman from the crowd helped her up. "I saw the car coming and that she was in danger." "What's your name?" the man asked, holding Sophie against his chest. Clara Hayes." "Julian Blackwood." The man extended his free hand. "And this is my daughter, Sophie." "Ms. Hayes, you saved the life of the most important thing I have in this world." Clara shook his hand, noticing the firmness of his grip and the tremor that still ran through him. Anyone would have done the same. "No," Julian shook his head emphatically. "Not just anyone risks themselves like that for a stranger, especially for the daughter of someone they don't know." At that moment, Clara heard a voice she recognized immediately, and that made her stomach churn. "Clara Hayes!" Mr. Davies, the general manager of the Grand Regent Hotel, approached with furious steps. He was a plump man in his 50s, known for his bad temper and for firing employees for the slightest reasons. "What on earth are you doing here causing a scandal?" he shouted, pushing people aside to get to Clara. "You should be working, and look at how you're dressed. It's a disgrace to the hotel." Clara felt her stomach shrink. "Mr. Davies, I had already finished my shift and—" "I don't care what time it is. You represent the hotel 24 hours a day. And here you are, dirty, with a torn uniform, causing problems in the middle of the street." "Sir!" Julian intervened, his voice cold as ice. "This woman just saved my daughter's life. I think you should be thanking her, not yelling at her. And who are you to tell me how to manage my employees?" Davies replied arrogantly, not knowing who he was talking to. Julian straightened to his full height, and Clara could see a dangerous glint in his eyes. "I am Julian Blackwood, CEO of Blackwood Enterprises, and this woman is a hero." The color drained from Davies' face when he heard the name. Blackwood Enterprises was one of the most powerful corporations in the country, and Julian Blackwood was known throughout the city as one of the richest and most influential men. "Sir, Mr. Blackwood," Davies stammered. "I didn't know. What you're doing is humiliating a woman who risked her life to save a child," Julian replied, his voice cutting. "And frankly, I find it pathetic." "But the uniform, the hotel rules," Davies stammered. Do the hotel rules include that employees cannot save lives? Clara watched this exchange feeling as if she were in a dream. She had never seen anyone speak to Mr. Davies like that, and she certainly never expected anyone to defend her in such a way. Clara. Julian turned to her, completely ignoring Davies. Are you hurt? Do you need medical attention? No, I'm fine, Clara replied, though her hands and knees hurt quite a bit. Just a few scrapes. Daddy, Sophie spoke from her father's arms. Lady Clara got hurt saving me. We have to help her. Julian looked at his daughter with a proud smile. You're right, Princess. We're going to help Miss Clara. Hayes! Davies suddenly shouted, clearly trying to regain his authority. You're fired. I don't want to see you in my hotel again. You've been a disgrace since day one. Silence fell over the entire crowd. Clara felt as if the world had stopped. Fired? For saving a child's life? What? She whispered, unable to believe what she had heard. You heard right. You're fired. Pack your things and leave, and don't expect me to give you references. Tears began to form in Clara's eyes. This job was all she had. Without it, she couldn't pay the rent. She couldn't feed her children. She couldn't. Are you telling me, Julian spoke in a dangerously calm voice, that you're firing this woman for saving my daughter's life? She's fired for violating hotel policies and for— No, Julian interrupted. She's fired because you are a small, miserable man who cannot stand to see someone else have honor and courage when you have neither. Julian walked towards Clara, still carrying Sophie. Ms. Hayes, can you give me your phone number? Clara looked at him, confused, tears streaming down her cheeks. What for? Because I want to talk to you. Because I want to thank you properly. And because something tells me that a woman with your courage and your heart shouldn't be working for an idiot like that. With trembling hands, Clara gave him her phone number. Julian saved it on his phone immediately. I'll call you tomorrow, he promised. And Ms. Hayes, what you did today was extraordinary. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. As Julian walked away with Sophie, who waved goodbye to Clara, the reality of what had happened began to hit Clara like a cold wave. She was unemployed, jobless, without income, with no way to support her children. But she had saved the life of an innocent child. And as she walked towards the bus stop, tears streaming down her face, Clara didn't know that her heroic act was about to change her life in ways she never could have imagined. The phone in her pocket felt like a promise, but also like a question. What would Julian Blackwood really want from a woman like her? Chapter 2. A new path unfolds. Clara woke up Wednesday morning with a knot in her stomach that hadn't let her sleep all night. For the first time in 5 years, she didn't have to get up at 4:30 a.m. to go to the hotel. But instead of feeling relieved, she felt terrified. She looked at the clock. 6:15 a.m. Leo and Mia were still sleeping in the room they shared in their small 2-bedroom apartment. It was a modest place in a working-class neighborhood, but clean and full of the love Clara had put into every corner. Photos of her children decorated the walls, along with their drawings and school certificates. She got up silently and went to the kitchen to prepare breakfast. She opened the refrigerator and counted what she had. Enough food for 3 more days if she was careful. After that, she didn't know what they would do. The rent cost £650 a month and was due in 2 weeks. Mia's daycare cost £200 a month. Food, utilities, transport. Clara had calculated and recalculated the numbers all night. Without the hotel job, she had enough savings for a month, maybe a month and a half if she ate less. Mommy! Mia's voice pulled her from her thoughts. Her little one appeared in the kitchen in pajamas, rubbing her eyes. Why are you awake so early if you don't have to go to work? Clara felt her heart break. How could she explain to a 4-year-old that Mommy had lost her job for being a hero? Come here, princess. Clara picked her up and sat her on her lap. Mommy's going to look for a new job. Didn't you like the hotel? Yes, I liked it, but sometimes things change. Leo appeared a few minutes later, already dressed for school. At 8 years old, he was incredibly perceptive, and Clara could see the worry in his eyes. Mommy, are you okay? I saw you crying last night. Clara took a deep breath. Her children deserved honesty within what they could understand. Something important happened yesterday, she began, serving them cereal with milk. I saw a little girl who was in danger, and I helped her. But my boss got angry because my uniform got dirty. Did he fire you for helping someone? Leo asked indignantly. Sometimes adults make decisions we don't understand, Clara replied carefully. But I did the right thing. Of course you did the right thing, Mia exclaimed. You always do the right thing, Mommy. While the children ate breakfast, Clara checked her phone obsessively. Julian Blackwood had said he would call, but maybe it had just been courtesy. Maybe in the cold light of the next day, a millionaire wouldn't have time for an unemployed cleaning lady. At 8 a.m., she took Leo to school and Mia to daycare. The daycare director, Mrs. Johnson, stopped her before she left. Clara, I need to talk to you, she said with a serious expression. Clara's heart sank. What's wrong? Your account is a month overdue. I understand that sometimes things get tough, but I need you to catch up this week or… I know, Clara interrupted. I'll get the money. You know I like you, and Mia is a wonderful child, but I have a business to maintain. Clara nodded, feeling her throat tighten. She hadn't even realized she was so behind. The last few months had been difficult, with Mia getting sick and needing expensive medicine. She walked back home under the morning sun, feeling completely lost. She needed to find work urgently, but who would hire her without references from the hotel? Davies had been clear that he wouldn't give her recommendations. When she arrived at her apartment, she sat at the kitchen table with a notebook and began to make a list of places where she could look for work. Other hotels, restaurants, offices that needed cleaning, shops. At 10:30 a.m., her phone rang. She didn't recognize the number, but her heart began to beat faster. Could it be? Hello? She replied with a trembling voice. Ms. Hayes, this is Julian Blackwood. Clara felt as if she couldn't breathe. Mr. Blackwood, good morning. Please call me Julian. How are you? How are your injuries? I'm fine, thank you. Just a small scrapes. I'm glad to hear that. Ms. Hayes. Clara, can you meet me for lunch today? There are some things I'd like to talk to you about. Lunch? Clara looked down at her loungewear. I don't know if that's appropriate. It's completely appropriate, Julian interrupted gently. You saved my daughter's life. The least I can do is invite you to lunch. I don't have appropriate clothes for fancy places, Clara admitted, feeling embarrassed. Don't worry about that. I know a perfect place. Does 12:30 p.m. work for you? It's a small cafe called the Cozy Corner on Baker Street. It's casual and quiet. Clara knew the place. It was a small, cozy cafe in her neighborhood, where prices were reasonable and the food was homemade. The kind of place where she would feel comfortable. All right, she accepted. I'll see you there. Perfect. Oh, and Clara, bring any documentation you have about your work experience. Resume, references, whatever you have. What for? She asked, confused. We'll talk about it when we meet. After hanging up, Clara stared at the phone for several minutes. What would Julian Blackwood want? Why was he asking for work information? She showered and put on the best she had. A simple navy blue dress she had bought for Leo's kindergarten graduation the previous year. She looked presentable, but she had no illusions that she could compare to the world Julian moved in. She arrived at the cafe 10 minutes before the agreed time and chose a table in a quiet corner. She ordered only water, aware that every penny counted now that she was unemployed. At 12:30 p.m. sharp, Julian entered the cafe. He wore casual clothes, dark jeans and a white shirt, but still looked elegant and out of place in the small establishment. Several people recognized him and whispered among themselves. "Clara," he smiled when he saw her, approaching the table. "Thank you for coming." "Thank you for inviting me," she replied, suddenly feeling nervous. Julian sat across from her, and Clara could see that he looked different from the day before, more relaxed, but also more serious. "How is Sophie?" Clara asked immediately. "She's fine. We talked a lot last night about what happened. She can't stop talking about you, about how the brave lady saved her. I'm glad she's okay." "Clara," Julian leaned forward. "I want to talk about what happened yesterday. Not just the accident, but what happened afterwards." Clara felt herself tense up. "What do you mean?" "The way that man treated you, Davies. What he did to you was unfair, cruel, and immoral. It's his hotel. He can fire whoever he wants." "Technically, yes, but that doesn't make it right." Julian paused. "May I ask about your situation? Do you have family that supports you?" Clara lowered her gaze. "I have 2 children. Leo, 8, and Mia, 4. Their father is not in our lives." "And the hotel job was your only income?" "Yes." "How long did you work there?" 5 years. Julian nodded, taking mental notes. "And what are you going to do now?" "Look for another job," Clara replied, trying to sound more confident than she felt. "I have experience in cleaning, some experience in customer service. Did you bring the documentation I asked for?" Clara nodded and took a thin folder from her bag. It contained her 1-page resume, some certificates from training courses she had taken, and letters of recommendation from previous supervisors. Julian reviewed everything carefully, and Clara realized that he was really reading every word, not just glancing politely. "I see you studied administration at the Technical Institute," he observed. "Yes, but I couldn't finish university. I got pregnant with Leo and things got complicated." "But you finished the Technical Institute while raising a baby." "It took time, but yes. That speaks very highly of your determination." Julian closed the folder and looked directly at her. "Clara, I want to offer you something." Clara's heart began to beat faster. "What kind of something?" "A job." Clara blinked. "A job?" "I need a personal assistant, someone to manage my calendar, coordinate meetings, handle correspondence, oversee some aspects of my home. It's a job that requires organization, reliability, and discretion." Clara was speechless. "Mr. Blackwood, Julian, I don't have experience in that kind of work." "What specific experience do you need to be organized, reliable, and discreet?" But you must know people with university education, with corporate experience." "I know many people like that," Julian agreed, "and most of them have disappointed me at some point. But yesterday I saw something in you that cannot be taught in any university." "What did you see?" "I saw someone who risks everything to do the right thing. I saw someone with real courage. I saw someone I can trust." Clara felt tears forming in her eyes. "I don't know what to say." "Say you'll consider it. The salary would be £3,000 a month, plus full health insurance for you and your children, plus performance bonuses." Clara almost fell out of her chair. £3,000? Is that too little? Can I adjust it?" "No," Clara exclaimed. Then she lowered her voice, embarrassed. No, it's perfect. It's more than I ever thought I could earn." "There are some conditions," Julian continued. "First, you would have to work very closely with me. That means sometimes you would work from my office, sometimes from my home. Second, there would be occasional evening events. Third, I need absolute trust and discretion." "What kind of events?" "Business dinners, corporate functions, social events. I would need you to accompany me to take notes, coordinate details, make sure everything runs smoothly." Clara thought of Leo and Mia. "What about my children? I have no one to leave them with at night." "That's a problem we can solve. We can hire a trusted nanny for the occasions it's necessary. Or, depending on the event, perhaps they can accompany you. The children could..." Accompany me? Clara, there's something you need to understand. After what you did yesterday, you're not just an employee to me. You're someone who saved the most important thing in my life. Sophie is all I have, and you risked your safety to protect her. That creates a bond that goes beyond normal business. Clara wiped away the tears that had started to fall. Why are you doing this? Because I believe in paying debts. Because I believe that good people deserve good things. And because, honestly, I need someone I can completely trust. And you trust me? You barely know me? A person willing to risk their life for a stranger is someone who can be trusted, Julian replied simply. Do you accept the job? Clara looked him in the eyes, seeing absolute sincerity there. 24 hours ago, she had been a cleaning employee facing unemployment. Now she was being offered an opportunity that would completely change her family's life. I accept, she whispered. Perfect. Can you start tomorrow? Tomorrow. I have an important meeting on Friday, and I need help preparing for it. And Clara? Yes? You need appropriate clothes for work. Here's my credit card. He took a silver card from his wallet. Go shopping this afternoon. Buy what you need. I can't accept that. It's a work expense. Consider it your uniform. Clara took the card with trembling hands. How much can I spend? Whatever you need to look professional. Don't worry about the price. Clara looked at the card as if it were an extraterrestrial object. She had never had a credit card, much less one with no limit. Julian, I don't know how to thank you. Don't thank me yet. He smiled. Wait and see if you can stand working with me. I can be quite demanding. As they left the cafe, Clara felt as if she were floating. But then a doubt assailed her. May I ask you something? Of course. What will happen when people find out that your personal assistant is a former cleaning employee? Won't that affect your reputation? Julian stopped and looked at her seriously. Clara, yesterday you showed more class, more honor, and more courage than most respectable people I know. If anyone has a problem with that, it's their problem, not mine. That afternoon, Clara found herself in an elegant boutique in the city's most exclusive shopping center, being attended by a saleswoman who was clearly confused by the presence of someone like Clara with such an exclusive credit card. Are you sure this card works? The saleswoman asked for the third time when Clara selected a stylish gray skirt suit. Yes, I'm sure, Clara replied, feeling uncomfortable but determined. In the end, she bought 3 complete suits, professional shoes, an elegant bag, and some basic accessories. The total was more money than she had spent on clothes in her entire life. But when she looked at herself in the mirror, she saw a professional woman who could work in any corporate office. That night, after putting Leo and Mia to bed, Clara stayed awake thinking about how her life had changed in just 24 hours. Yesterday morning, she had been a cleaning employee. Now, she was the future personal assistant to one of the most powerful men in the city. But as she fell asleep, a question bothered her. Would she be able to live up to expectations? Could a woman like her really work in Julian Blackwood's world? The next day, she would discover that this was just the first of many questions that would change the course of her life forever. Chapter 3. Stepping into a new world. On Thursday morning, Clara woke up at 5:00 a.m., 2 hours earlier than necessary. Nerves had kept her from sleeping well, and she had mentally reviewed everything she knew about office work at least 100 times. She showered, put on one of her new suits, the navy gray with a white blouse, and applied light makeup. When she looked in the mirror, she almost didn't recognize herself. She looked professional, competent, as if she could really work in a corporate office. "Mommy, you look beautiful," Mia exclaimed when Clara entered the kitchen to prepare breakfast. "Thank you, princess." Clara smiled, but her stomach was full of butterflies. Leo studied her with a serious expression. "Are you nervous about your new job?" Clara knelt to his height. "A little bit. It's very different from what I used to do. But you're not going to clean rooms anymore? No. Now I'm going to help a very important gentleman with his work. The little girl's dad you saved? Yes, that gentleman. Leo nodded solemnly. He must be a good person if he wants to give you a job after you were a hero. I think he is a good person, Clara agreed, though honestly she was still not completely sure of Julian's motivations. After dropping the children off at school and daycare, Clara took the bus to the financial district. The Blackwood Enterprises building was a 40-story glass tower that rose imposingly towards the sky. Clara had passed it hundreds of times, but she had never imagined that one day she would work there. In the lobby, she approached the security guard, an older man with a kind expression. "Good morning. I'm here to see Mr. Blackwood. I'm Clara Hayes." The guard checked his list. "Ah, yes. Here it is. 38th floor, main office. The elevators are to the right." As she rode up the elevator, Clara observed the other passengers. All wore expensive suits. They talked on latest model cell phones and seemed completely comfortable in that world of power and money. She felt like an imposter. The 38th floor was impressive. Glass walls offered panoramic views of the city. The furniture was elegant and modern, and there was a reverential silence that spoke of important decisions being made constantly. "Ms. Hayes?" A young, elegant woman approached. "I'm Patricia, Mr. Blackwood's secretary. He's waiting for you." Patricia guided him through a hallway until they reached a huge office. Julian was standing by the window, talking on the phone, but he motioned for her to come in. "I don't care what the contract says. If they can't deliver on time, we'll find another supplier. Yes, I'm serious. Goodbye." He hung up the phone and turned to Clara with a smile. "Good morning. You look very professional." "Thank you," Clara replied, feeling self-conscious. "I hope I can live up to the job." "You will," Julian said confidently. "Please sit down, Guion. Let me explain how this works." Over the next hour, Julian explained her responsibilities. She would manage his calendar, filter important calls, coordinate meetings, oversee some aspects of his home, and accompany him to events when necessary. "Questions so far?" he asked. "Many," Clara admitted. "What if I make mistakes? What if I don't understand something? What if—" "Clara," Julian interrupted gently, "you're going to make mistakes. Everyone does. The important thing is that you learn from them and that you tell me immediately if there's something you don't understand. You won't get angry if I make mistakes? Did you see me get angry yesterday when you saved my daughter's life? No, but that was different. Not so different. In both cases, you're trying to do the right thing with the best intentions. That's what matters to me." Patricia knocked on the door and entered. "Mr. Blackwood, Mr. Thompson is here for the 10 o'clock meeting." "Perfect. Clara, this will be your first meeting. I want you to take notes of everything that's discussed. Don't worry if you don't understand some technical terms. You can ask me later." The meeting was about a possible acquisition of a hotel chain. Clara listened attentively as Julian and Mr. Thompson discussed numbers that made her dizzy. Millions and millions of pounds spoken as if they were pennies. She took notes as fast as she could, trying to capture every detail. When she didn't understand a term, she wrote it down to ask later. "So we're talking about $250 million for the complete acquisition," Thompson was saying. "It's a lot of money for hotels that need significant renovation," Julian replied. "What guarantees do we have that the additional investment won't exceed $50 million? Clara wrote furiously, impressed by the ease with which Julian handled sums she couldn't even imagine. After Thompson left, Julian reviewed Clara's notes. "Excellent work," he said. "You captured everything important." "Really? There were many things I didn't understand." "That's normal. But look at this." He pointed to a line in her notes. "You wrote R seemed doubtful about renovations. That observation is very valuable. It shows that you weren't just transcribing, but really paying attention." Clara felt proud. What does it mean that he was doubtful about the renovations? It means Thompson wasn't completely honest about the costs. The hotels will need much more investment than he admitted. How do you know? Experience. And because when Thompson talked about renovations, he looked away and changed the subject quickly. Do you notice those things? In my business, about. You have to notice those things. The difference between success and failure is often in the details that people try to hide. The rest of the morning passed in a whirlwind of activity. Clara coordinated 3 more calls. She organized Julian's calendar for the next week, and she learned to use the office computer system. At noon, Julian asked her to accompany him to lunch. Is this part of the job? Clara asked. Yes and no. It's part of the job because we're going to discuss tomorrow's meeting. But I also want to get to know you better. If we're going to work so closely, I need to understand how you think. They went to an elegant restaurant near the building. Clara felt intimidated by the atmosphere. White tablecloths, waiters in suits, prices that would normally have made her run away. Order whatever you want, Julian told her as he handed her the menu. Everything looks expensive. Clara, you work for me now. When we eat together for work, don't worry about the price. They ordered. Clara chose a salad and grilled chicken, trying not to be extravagant. And Julian began to ask her questions. Tell me about your children. Clara immediately lit up. Leo is super smart. He loves math and wants to be an engineer. Mia is a whirlwind of energy. She likes to sing and dance, and she asks questions about everything. What has it been like raising them alone? Difficult, Clara admitted, especially at first. Leo was very young when their dad left, and Mia wasn't even born. There were nights when I didn't know how we were going to survive. What kept you going? Them. I couldn't give up because they needed me. And my mother, before she died, taught me that strong women don't give up. Your mother died? When Mia was 2, cancer. She was my only family. So when she died, it was just Leo, Mia, and me. Julian was silent for a moment. I'm so sorry. Thank you. She would have been proud to see where I am today. I'm sure she would have been. May I ask you about Sophie? Where is her mom? Julian's expression darkened. She died when Sophie was 2. Car accident. My God, I'm so sorry. It was also cancer, but one that progressed very quickly. Claudia was... She was everything to me. When she died, I thought I would never recover. How did you do it? Sophie, just like you with your children. I couldn't give up because she needed me. But it hasn't been easy. I work so much that sometimes I feel like I'm not the father she deserves. From what I saw yesterday, she adores you. Yes, but I worry that she's growing up without a mother figure. I have excellent nannies, but it's not the same. Clara nodded, understanding exactly what he meant. It's hard to be a father and a mother at the same time. Exactly. That's why I was so impressed by what you did yesterday. Not just by the physical courage, but because I saw in you the kind of maternal instinct that Sophie needs in her life. Clara blushed. Any mother would have done the same. Not any mother. And that brings me to something I wanted to discuss with you. What? Part of this job will involve helping with Sophie occasionally, not as a nanny, but as... I don't know what to call it. Does that bother you? Not at all. I'd love to help with Sophie. Perfect. Because she's been asking me since yesterday when she's going to see the brave lady again. Really? Really. In fact, would you like to see my house this afternoon? Sophie gets home from school at 3, and I'd like you to meet her properly. Clara looked at her watch. I can do that, but I need to pick up my children at 5. Of course. In fact, why don't you bring them? I'd like to meet Leo and Mia, and Sophie could use some friends. Are you sure? I don't want to impose. Clara, part of working with me means our families will occasionally interact. Better they start getting to know each other. That afternoon, Clara found herself at Julian's mansion, an impressive house in the city's most exclusive neighborhood. It was elegant but welcoming, clearly the home of someone with a lot of money, but also good taste. Sophie ran towards Clara as soon as she saw her. Lady Clara, Dad told me you're going to work with him. That's right. Clara smiled, kneeling to hug the girl. "How are you, sweetheart?" "Very good. Are your children coming?" "Yes, they'll be here in a little while." "How exciting. I never have children come over to play." Julian showed Clara around the house, explaining some of the responsibilities she would have there. Coordinating with the cleaning staff, supervising repairs, handling deliveries. "How many people work here?" Clara asked. "A lady who comes to clean 3 times a week, a gardener, and occasionally contractors for repairs. And now you? I'm going to supervise all those people? If you're comfortable with that. It's more about coordinating schedules and ensuring everything runs smoothly." When Leo and Mia arrived, Clara was nervous about how they would react to such elegance. But Sophie immediately put them at ease. "Do you want to see my room? I have a giant dollhouse." The 3 children disappeared upstairs, leaving Clara and Julian alone in the living room. "Your children are beautiful," Julian commented. "Leo seems very mature for his age." "He's had to grow up fast," Clara replied. "Sometimes I worry that he's lost part of his childhood." "Why?" "Because when he was younger, sometimes he had to take care of Mia while I worked double shifts. Or when I got sick and couldn't afford to miss work, he would help me with Mia. That's not losing childhood. That's learning responsibility and compassion. Do you believe that?" "I do. Look at Sophie. She has everything money can buy. But sometimes I worry that she doesn't understand the real value of things. Your children understand the value of hard work and sacrifice. Those are valuable lessons." At that moment, they heard laughter from upstairs, the 3 children clearly having fun. "Sophie needs this," Julian murmured, almost to himself. "What?" "Normal children. A normal family. She's been surrounded by adults and employees her whole life." Clara studied him. "Are you okay? Why do you ask? You seem sad." Julian sighed. "Sometimes I wonder if I'm doing the right thing with Sophie. I give her everything she wants materially, but I don't know if I'm giving her what she really needs." "What do you think she needs?" "A real family. Siblings. A mother. Family traditions. All the things that money can't buy." Clara felt a pang of pain for him. For all his wealth and power, Julian seemed as lonely as she had felt before. "Family isn't always about blood," she said softly. "Sometimes it's about the people who choose to love you and stay with you." Julian looked at her with an expression Clara couldn't fully interpret. "Do you really believe that?" "I know it. My children and I don't have biological family, but we've created our own family of friends who care about us. Mrs. Garcia, who lives next door, and who takes care of Mia when she gets sick. Leo's teacher, who stays after class to help him with math. The bakery saleswoman, who sometimes gives us extra bread when she knows things are tough. And now what? Would you consider including Sophie and me in that chosen family?" The question took Clara completely by surprise. "What do you mean?" "I mean, I'd like this to be more than just a job. I'd like us to be friends. For our children to be friends. For us to be, I don't know, an extended family." Clara felt tears forming in her eyes. "Really? Really? Sophie needs siblings, even if they're not biological. And me? I need friends who see me as Julian, not as the CEO of Blackwood Enterprises. I think I'd like that very much," Clara whispered. At that moment, the 3 children ran down the stairs. "Daddy!" Sophie ran to Julian. "Can Leo and Mia come play every day?" "Well, not every day, Princess, but they can definitely come often." "Yes!" the 3 children shouted in unison. As Clara took her children home that night, she realized that her life had changed in ways that went beyond work. She had found not only employment, but an extended family she didn't know she needed. But she also realized that there was something in the way Julian looked at her, something in the connection she felt with him. That went beyond friendship, and that scared her as much as it excited her. Chapter 4. A family in the making. 3 weeks after starting to work for Julian, Clara had found a rhythm she didn't know was possible. Her days were full but satisfying. Her nights were secure. knowing she could pay all the bills. And for the first time in years, she could sleep without worrying about money. Leo and Mia had blossomed too. Leo had started taking programming classes after school, something Julian had suggested and offered to pay for. Mia had started dance classes, a dream Clara had never been able to afford before. But most importantly was the friendship that had blossomed between the children. Sophie, Leo, and Mia had become inseparable. And Clara had seen incredible changes in all three. It was a Friday night when everything got complicated. Clara was at home helping Leo with his math homework when her phone rang. It was Julian, but it was almost 9 p.m., unusually late for him to call her. "Julian, is everything all right?" "Clara, I need to ask you a huge favor, and I apologize for the hour. What do you need?" "I have an emergency. My most important client from Japan arrived unexpectedly tonight for a last-minute meeting early tomorrow. I need to go to dinner with him now to discuss the basic terms before the formal meeting." "Of course. What do you need me to do?" "I need you to come with me to dinner. It's going to be at the most exclusive restaurant in the city, and I need you to take notes of everything that's discussed. But Clara..." "Yes? This isn't just a business dinner. It's a social event. You need to look like you belong in that world." Clara felt a knot in her stomach. "What do you mean?" "You need an evening gown, jewelry, the whole presentation. I know it's a lot to ask, especially on such short notice." Clara looked down at her loungewear. "Julian, I don't have that kind of clothes. And even if I did, wouldn't it seem strange for me to bring my assistant to a social dinner?" "You're not going as my assistant. You're going as my companion." Silence stretched across the phone line. "Your companion?" "Clara, in the world of high-level business, especially with Japanese clients, presentation is everything. I need to show stability, confidence, success. A man in my position without a companion at this type of event seems incomplete. But wouldn't a fake companion be worse? It wouldn't be fake. You're my friend, someone I trust, someone important in my life. That's more real than most couples at these events." Clara sat heavily on her sofa. "What about the children?" "I've already called the best nanny in the city. She can be here in an hour. And the clothes? Patricia is on her way with options. She's roughly your size and has an extensive wardrobe." "You already arranged all this without knowing if I was going to accept?" "I hoped you would accept. But if you can't do it, I understand." Clara thought of Leo and Mia, who had been so happy lately. She thought of the stability this job had brought to their lives. And she thought of Julian, who had changed everything for her. "What time do you need me to be ready?" "In 2 hours. Clara, you can't imagine how much I appreciate this. I just hope I don't embarrass you." "That's impossible." An hour later, Patricia arrived with 3 suitcases full of dresses, shoes, jewelry, and beauty products. She was an elegant 35-year-old woman who had worked in the corporate world for years. "Clara, Julian told me what we need to do," Patricia said efficiently. "Don't worry. We're going to make you look absolutely stunning." "I don't know if this is a good idea," Clara murmured as Patricia spread the dresses on her bed. "Why?" "Because I don't belong in that world. What if someone realizes I'm an imposter?" Patricia looked at her seriously. "Clara, I've worked for Julian for 5 years. I've seen dozens of women who have tried to impress him. Heiresses, models, high-level executives. They all belonged to that world. And none of them looked at him the way you look at him. And none of them definitely made him smile the way he smiles when he talks about you." Clara blushed. "Are we friends?" "Of course we are." Patricia smiled knowingly. "Now, let's try on this navy blue dress." The dress was stunning, elegant but not ostentatious, sophisticated but not intimidating. When Clara put it on, Patricia whistled softly. "Perfect. Now hair and makeup." Over the next hour, Patricia transformed Clara. Her hair was styled in an elegant bun, with some loose strands framing her face. Her makeup was subtle, but dramatized her eyes and highlighted her best features. When she finally looked in the mirror, Clara didn't recognize herself. "Is that me?" she whispered. "That's you," Patricia confirmed. "You've always been beautiful, Clara. You just needed the right frame." The nanny had arrived and was already playing with Leo and Mia, who were fascinated by their mother's transformation. "Mommy, you look like a princess!" Mia exclaimed. "Are you going to a ball?" Leo asked. "I'm going to a very important work dinner," Clara explained. "But I'll be back before you wake up tomorrow." "You look very pretty," Leo said seriously. "Mr. Julian will be very proud to have you as a friend." When Julian arrived at 9 p.m. sharp, Clara felt butterflies in her stomach. He had put on a black tuxedo that made him look even more attractive than usual, but when he saw her, he froze completely. "Clara," he murmured, and there was something in his voice that made her blush. "Are you okay? Do I look appropriate?" "You look absolutely beautiful." On the way to the restaurant, Clara was nervous. "What do I need to know about this client?" "His name is Hiroshi Sato. He's the CEO of one of the largest companies in Japan. Very traditional, very formal. He values courtesy, right respect, and presentation." "What will I do during dinner?" "Mostly listen and observe. Take mental notes of everything that's discussed, but Clara..." "Yes?" "Also, just be yourself. Your naturalness, your honesty, your natural grace. Those are the things that will impress him." The restaurant was the kind of place Clara had only seen in movies. Silk tablecloths, glassware that probably cost more than her old monthly salary, waiters who moved like dancers. Hiroshi Sato was a 60-year-old man, distinguished and formal, accompanied by his wife, an elegant woman who spoke little English but smiled constantly. "Mr. Sato, I'd like to introduce you to Clara Hayes." Julian made the introductions formally. "Ms. Hayes, it's a pleasure to meet you." Sato bowed slightly. "The pleasure is mine, Mr. Sato," Clara replied, remembering the courtesy lessons she had seen in movies. During dinner, Clara watched fascinated as Julian navigated the complexities of international business. They talked about million-pound investments as if they were casual conversations, but she noticed the subtleties. When Sato seemed interested, when he had doubts, when Julian needed to change strategy. "Ms. Hayes," Sato addressed her during dessert. "What do you do?" Clara felt momentary panic, but then decided to be honest. "I work for Julian. I help coordinate his meetings. I manage his calendar. I make sure everything runs smoothly." "Ah, you are very efficient then." "I try to be." "And do you have family?" "I have 2 children. Leo, 8, and Mia, 4. Sato's wife immediately lit up. "Children. I like children very much." Through a mix of basic English and gestures, Clara ended up showing her photos of Leo and Mia on her phone. The woman was so excited that she called her husband to see them too. "Very beautiful children," Sato commented. "It seems you are a dedicated mother." "Thank you. They are my life. Family is the most important thing." Sato nodded approvingly. A businessman who values family is someone who can be trusted. Clara saw Julian visibly relax. Somehow, without fully understanding how, she had said exactly the right thing. The rest of the dinner went smoothly. Sato seemed genuinely impressed with Julian. And when they said goodbye, Clara had the feeling that the deal would be successful. "It was a pleasure meeting you, Ms. Hayes," Sato told her at the end. "I hope we can meet again soon." "The pleasure was mine, Mr. Sato." In the car back, Julian was euphoric. "Clara, you were perfect. Absolutely perfect." "Really? I feel like I didn't do much." "You did exactly what you needed to do. You were authentic, natural, real." Sato responded to that. Japanese people can detect falsehood from miles away. But with you, he saw someone genuine. "I'm glad I helped." "You didn't just help. I think you just secured a 200 million pound contract." Clara gasped. 200 million? 200 million. And a large part of the success was thanks to you. When they arrived at Clara's house, Julian accompanied her to the door. The night was quiet, lit only by the streetlights. Thank you, Julian said softly, for everything you did tonight. Thank you for trusting me with something so important. They stood there for a moment, and Clara was aware of how close they were, of how Julian was looking at her, of the tension that had been growing between them for weeks. Clara, Julian murmured, taking a step closer. Yes, there's something I've wanted to tell you. But before he could continue, the door opened and Leo appeared in his pajamas. Mommy, how was your important dinner? The moment was immediately broken. Julian stepped back, and Clara felt a mix of relief and disappointment. It went very well, my love, Clara replied, stroking Leo's hair. Why aren't you asleep? I couldn't sleep. I wanted to make sure you got home safely. Mr. Julian, Leo addressed him formally. Thank you for taking care of my mom. It's my honor, Leo, Julian replied, and Clara could see genuine tenderness in his eyes. Well, I'd better go, Julian said. Clara, get some rest. I'll see you on Monday. Until Monday, Clara replied. As Julian walked away, Clara stood at the door with Leo, wondering what had been about to happen, and if she was ready to face the implications of whatever was growing between her and Julian. Because one thing was certain, their relationship had crossed a line that night, and there was no turning back. Chapter P. The weekend after the dinner with Sato passed strangely for Clara. She couldn't get the interrupted moment at her door out of her mind. The way Julian had looked at her, the words he had been about to say before Leo appeared. It was Sunday afternoon when she received a text message from Julian. Can you come over? Sophie wants to show you something special. Clara smiled. Over the past few weeks, Sophie had started calling her when she had something exciting to share, and Clara had discovered that those moments had become some of her favorites. Mommy, can we go see Sophie? Mia asked when Clara told her about the message. Of course, Princess. An hour later, they were at the door of Julian's mansion. Sophie greeted them with a huge smile. Clara, Leo, Mia, come see what I made. She led them running towards the backyard, where she had set up a small pink tent with colorful lights strung around it. Dad helped me make a camp. Can we sleep here tonight? Please, please. Julian appeared from the house, dressed casually in jeans and a t-shirt, looking more relaxed than Clara had ever seen him. Hello, he said softly, and Clara immediately felt that familiar tension between them. Hello? She replied, trying to keep her voice normal. The camp looks amazing. Sophie has been planning it all week. I think she was hoping Leo and Mia could stay too. Yes, Sophie exclaimed. We can make s'mores and tell ghost stories. Leo and Mia looked at Clara hopefully. Can we, Mommy, please? Clara hesitated. Daytime visits were one thing, but an entire night? Especially with this new tension between her and Julian. I don't know if it's appropriate, she began. Please, Clara, Julian interrupted gently. The children have been having so much fun together, and honestly, I'd love the company. My company? Clara asked, suddenly feeling self-conscious. All of yours, Julian quickly clarified. But there was something in his eyes that suggested he meant her especially. 2 hours later, Clara found herself sitting around a bonfire in the backyard of a mansion, roasting marshmallows with 3 excited children, while one of the richest men in London tried to keep the fire lit. Dad, it's going out again, Sophie complained when the flames died down. I'm working on it, Julian murmured, blowing on the embers. Can I try? Leo offered shyly. Of course. Clara watched tenderly as Leo knelt beside Julian, who patiently taught him how to properly stoke the fire. You have to give it room to breathe, Julian explained. Much like people, actually. What do you mean? Leo asked. Well, sometimes when we push something, or someone, too hard, we end up suffocating it. But if we give it space to grow naturally, The flames rose bright and strong. "It works," Leo exclaimed proudly. "Exactly." Julian smiled. But Clara noticed he looked at her meaningfully as he said the words. After the children settled into the tent with flashlights and storybooks, Clara and Julian were left alone by the slowly fading fire. "Thank you for letting them stay," Julian said. "Sophie has been happier in the last few weeks than in months." "She's a special child," Clara replied. "And Leo and Mia adore her. And you? Have you also been happier?" The question took Clara by surprise. "What do you mean?" "I mean, I've observed you these past few weeks. You look lighter, as if a weight has been lifted from your shoulders." Clara considered his words. "I suppose so. For the first time in years, I don't go to sleep worrying about money. My children are happy, healthy, safe. It's more than I ever dared to hope for." "And is it just because of that? Because of financial security?" Clara looked at him, seeing something in his eyes that made her pulse quicken. "What are you really asking, Julian?" "I'm asking if you feel the same way I do. What do you feel?" Julian stood up from his chair and walked to the edge of the pool, looking out at the city lights in the distance. "I feel as if I've been asleep for years, and suddenly I've woken up." Clara slowly approached him. "Julian, since Claudia died, I've focused only on work and Sophie. I thought that was enough. I thought I didn't need anything else. And now I realize I wasn't living. I was just existing." He turned to look at her. "But with you three in our lives, everything feels different." Clara felt her heart beating so hard she was sure he could hear it. "Julian, I need you to understand something." "What?" "I can't just be an adventure for you. I can't be something you try out of curiosity. I have children to consider, hearts to protect. If this is just—" "It's not just anything," Julian interrupted, moving closer. "Clara, you don't understand. What I feel for you is something I thought I would never feel again." "What do you feel?" "I feel like I want to wake up every morning knowing you'll be there. I feel like I want to protect you and take care of you the way you take care of everyone else. I feel like I want Sophie to have siblings and a mother. I feel like I want to—" "What?" "I want to love you. I want you to love me. I want us to be a real family." The words hung in the air between them like a promise and a question at the same time. "Julian," Clara whispered. "I feel that too, but it scares me." "Scares?" "Why? Because we come from completely different worlds. Because I don't know if I could really belong in your life long term. Because if this doesn't work, I'm not the only one who gets hurt. Look at me," Julian said, taking her hands. "Do you see someone who's playing games? Do you see someone who's experimenting?" Clara studied him, the sincerity in his eyes, the vulnerability in his expression, the way he held her hands as if they were something precious. "No," she admitted. "Then trust me. Trust us. What if people say I'm only with you for money? Do I care what people say? You should care. You're a public figure. Clara, the day I met you, you risked your life for my daughter without knowing who I was, without expecting anything in return. Anyone who truly knows you would know that you are not capable of that kind of motivation. And Sophie? How do you know she'll accept someone else taking her mother's place? Are you kidding?" Julian laughed softly. "Sophie adores you. She constantly asks me when Auntie Clara is coming. Yesterday she asked me if you could be her new mommy." Clara felt tears forming in her eyes. "Really?" "Really. And when I told her that depended on many things, she told me she had been asking for a mommy in her prayers every night, and that she was sure God had sent the perfect person." Clara's tears began to fall. "I can't believe this is happening." "What?" "That after everything I've been through, after feeling alone for so long, I suddenly have the possibility of having everything I ever wanted. And what did you always want? A family. A partner who loves me for who I really am. A father for my children. Security. True love. All that can be yours, Clara, It can be hours. Are you sure? Instead of answering with words, Julian slowly leaned in, giving her time to pull away if she wanted. But Clara didn't pull away. Instead, she leaned in too, closing the distance between them. When their lips met, it was as if everything fell into place. The kiss was soft at first, tentative, but then it deepened with all the feeling they had been holding back for weeks. When they finally separated, both were breathless. "Wow," Clara whispered. "Is that a good wow or a bad wow?" "Definitely good," Clara laughed. "Very, very good. So, are we doing this? Are we trying to be a real family?" Clara thought of Leo and Mia sleeping happily in the tent with Sophie. She thought of how she had felt for the first time in years, safe, loved, as if she belonged somewhere. "Yes," she said, "we're doing this. When do we tell the children?" "Slowly," Clara advised. "We need to make sure we're sure before involving their hearts." "I'm already sure," Julian said, "but I understand what you mean." At that moment, they heard laughter from the tent. "We should go check on them," Clara said. "In a minute," Julian replied, pulling her closer for another kiss. And under the stars, by the illuminated pool, Clara finally felt she had found her place in the world. But she didn't know that her happiness was about to be put to the test in ways she had never imagined. Chapter by the storm of scrutiny. 2 weeks after that magical night under the stars, Clara and Julian had found a delicate balance between their new relationship and their responsibilities as parents. They had decided to take things slowly, especially in front of the children, although the romantic tension between them was palpable. It was a Tuesday morning when everything changed. Clara was in Julian's office, organizing his calendar for the next week, when Patricia burst in with an expression Clara had never seen before. "Mr. Blackwood," Patricia said breathlessly, "you need to see this immediately." Julian looked up from the documents he was reviewing. "What's wrong?" Patricia placed a newspaper on his desk. The front page headline made Clara's stomach sink. "Millionaire, Julian Blackwood. Romances, former cleaning lady." Below it was a photo of them leaving the restaurant the night of the dinner with Sato. Clara looked beautiful in the borrowed dress, but the article identified her as Clara Hayes, 32, a single mother who was fired from her job as a cleaning employee for allegedly causing public scandals. "How did they get this information?" Julian asked in a dangerously calm voice. "We don't know," Patricia replied. "But that's not all. They've been investigating Clara's past." Clara felt as if she couldn't breathe. "What do you mean, investigating?" Patricia hesitated, looking between Clara and Julian. "They found information about the father of your children." Clara's world stopped. "What kind of information?" "Clara!" Julian immediately approached her. "Whatever it is, we can handle it." But Clara was already reading the article, and every word was like a stab. Sources reveal that Hayes had relations with known con artist David Miller, who is currently serving time in prison for financial fraud. Miller, father of Hayes' 2 children, was arrested 3 years ago for stealing over $500,000 from vulnerable elderly people through fraudulent investment schemes. Clara collapsed into a chair, feeling as if the ground had disappeared beneath her feet. "Clara," Julian knelt beside her. "Look at me." But Clara couldn't look at him. She couldn't bear to see the disappointment that would surely be in his eyes when he realized who she really was. The kind of man she had had children with. "Is it true?" Julian asked softly. Clara nodded, unable to speak. "Did you know he was a criminal when you were together?" "No," Clara finally whispered. "I had no idea. I thought he was a legitimate businessman. He completely deceived me. Is that why he left you? Because he was arrested?" "No, he left me before he was arrested, before I even knew Mia was on the way. He told me he had found someone else, someone more appropriate for his lifestyle. It wasn't until later that I found out it was all a lie, that all his money was stolen." Julian took her hands, but Clara pulled them away. "Don't you understand?" Clara stood up abruptly. This ruins everything. Your reputation, your business, your future. People are going to think I'm just like him. And what does it matter what people think? It matters everything, Clara exclaimed. You're a public figure. You can't be associated with the mother of a convict's children. Clara, calm down. I can't calm down. Don't you realize what this means? Sato will withdraw his investment. Your other clients will start questioning your judgment. Everything you've built could be threatened because of me. At that moment, Julian's phone rang. Patricia answered, and Clara could tell from her expression that the news was not good. It's Mr. Sato's assistant, Patricia reported after hanging up. He wants to reschedule tomorrow's meeting, indefinitely. Clara felt as if she had been slapped. It's already started. It's just one meeting, Julian said. But Clara could see the worry in his eyes. Julian. Clara made a heartbreaking decision. I need to resign. What? No. I have to. It's the only way to protect your reputation. Clara, I'm not going to let you leave because of this. It's not your decision, Clara replied, surprising herself with the firmness in her voice. I came here because I saved your daughter, and you wanted to help me, but I never should have allowed this to become something more. What are you saying? I'm saying we come from worlds too different. This is proof. Clara, please, just... But Clara was already walking towards the door. I'll send you my written resignation this afternoon. Clara, wait! But she didn't stop. She couldn't stop, because if she did, she might change her mind. And she knew that staying would only hurt Julian more in the long run. Clara arrived home feeling completely defeated. She sat at her kitchen table and wrote her resignation letter, each word like a knife in her heart. Dear Mr. Blackwood, I hereby submit my immediate resignation from the position of personal assistant. I deeply appreciate the opportunity you gave me and regret any inconvenience my association with your company may have caused. Sincerely, Clara Hayes. As she sealed the letter, her phone wouldn't stop ringing. Julian had called 12 times, but she couldn't answer. What was she going to tell him? That she loved him so much that she was willing to leave his life to protect him? At 3 p.m., when she would normally be picking up the children to take them to Julian's house, she went alone to pick them up instead. Where's Sophie? Mia immediately asked. We're going straight home today, Clara replied, trying to sound normal. Why? Leo asked, always the most perceptive. Did something bad happen? Sometimes things change, my love. That's all. That night, as she put the children to bed, Leo stopped her at his bedroom door. Mommy, we're not going to see Mr. Julian and Sophie anymore. Clara felt tears forming in her eyes. I don't know, sweetheart. But I thought you liked him. I thought we were like a family. Sometimes the things we want can't be, Leo. Why not? Why? Because there are complications you don't understand yet. Does it have to do with our dad? The question took Clara completely by surprise. What do you know about your dad? I know he did bad things. I know he's in jail. Is that why we can't be with Mr. Julian? Clara sat on Leo's bed, her heart broken by the maturity of her 8-year-old son. Leo, the decisions your dad made are not your fault, or Mia's, or mine. But sometimes those decisions have consequences that affect other people. But Mr. Julian knows our dad did bad things. Yes, he knows, and he still wants to be with us. Doesn't that mean he loves us? Clara didn't know how to answer that question. Mommy? Leo took her hand with his small hands. I think Mr. Julian really loves us, and I think you love him too. Isn't that worth fighting for? Before Clara could answer, she heard the doorbell. Her heart raced. She knew who it was before she even looked out the window. Julian was standing at her door, holding a bouquet of flowers, and with a determined expression Clara knew well. Clara, he said when she opened the door, we need to talk. Julian, I've already made my decision. No, you haven't. You let fear make the decision for you, but I'm not going to let that happen. Don't you understand what this means for your reputation? Don't you understand what it means for my life to lose you? Julian, Clara, in 38 years of life, I have only loved 2 women. I lost one due to circumstances beyond my control. I'm not going to lose the second due to circumstances I can control. Mr. Julian? Mia's voice echoed from inside. Before Clara could stop her, Mia ran to the door and launched herself into Julian's arms. I missed you! Where's Sophie? Can we play tomorrow? Julian picked up Mia, looking at Clara over the girl's head. That depends on your mommy, princess. Leo appeared behind Mia. Mr. Julian, did you come to fight for our family? Leo's direct question made Clara gasp. Yes, Leo, Julian replied seriously. I came for exactly that. And at that moment, Clara realized she had a choice to make. Could she let fear win, or could she fight for the family they had begun to build? The question was, would she have the courage to choose love over fear? Chapter 7. The Unbreakable Bond. Clara looked at Julian standing at her door, with Mia in his arms and Leo by his side, and felt as if she were at a crossroads that would define the rest of her life. May I come in? Julian asked softly. There are things we need to discuss. Clara hesitated, but Leo made the decision for her. Please, Mommy, we need to talk as a family. The word family resonated in Clara's heart. She opened the door completely and let them in. Where's Sophie? Mia asked as Julian put her down. She's at home with the nanny, Julian replied. But she asked me to give you this. He took 2 small packages wrapped in colorful paper from his pocket. Mia and Leo excitedly opened them to find friendship bracelets Sophie had made for them. They're beautiful, Mia exclaimed. There's a note too, Julian added. Leo read aloud. To my best friends Leo and Mia, I love you and I hope we're always family. Sophie. Clara felt tears in her eyes. Julian, this makes everything harder. No, he interrupted gently. This makes everything clearer, Clara. Can you sit with me? Just 5 minutes. Clara sat on the sofa, keeping a distance between them, while Leo and Mia went to play with their new bracelets. First, Julian began, I want you to know that today I spent all day investigating who leaked that information to the press. And it was Davies, the hotel manager who fired you. Clara felt a pang of anger. Why would he do that? Apparently, some people in the business world weren't happy with my decision to cancel contracts with the hotel after what he did to you. Davies blamed you for his financial problems. Does that matter now? It matters because it means this isn't going to stop here. Davies will keep trying to hurt us if he sees us together. Clara's heart sank. Then I really need to step away. No, Julian said firmly. It means we need to stick together and fight together. How? How do we fight against something like that? With the truth, Clara. This afternoon I had 3 meetings that changed everything. What meetings? First meeting, with my legal team. They're going to sue the newspaper for defamation and Davies for malicious interference in our business. Julian, that's going to create more publicity. Let me finish. Julian smiled. Second meeting, with Mr. Sato. Clara tensed. What happened? I explained the whole situation to him. I told him exactly who you are, how we met, why I love you. You told him you love me? I told him you are the most honorable woman I have ever met. I told him how you risked your life for Sophie. I explained that you had been deceived by a criminal, not that you were an accomplice. And what did he say? He said any man who judged a woman by someone else's mistakes didn't deserve to do business with him. The contract is still going ahead. Clara gasped. Really? Really? But that wasn't the best part. What was the best part? The third meeting was with the head of human resources at my company. What for? To create a new program. It's called the Blackwood Enterprises Second Chances Program. Clara looked at him, confused. What is that? It's a program that helps single mothers get professional training and stable jobs. I thought maybe you'd want to lead it. Me? Clara, you understand exactly what these women are going through. You know what it's like to struggle alone, what it's like to be unfairly judged, what it's like to need a second chance. But I don't have the qualifications. You have something better than qualifications. You have lived experience and a heart that genuinely cares about helping others. Clara felt hope beginning to grow in her chest. Do you really think I could do something like that? I think you could change hundreds of lives, and I think you would find more purpose in that work than in anything you've done before. At that moment, Leo and Mia ran back in. Are the adults done talking? Mia asked. Are we still going to be a family? Leo added directly. Julian looked at Clara. That depends on your mommy. Mommy. Mia climbed onto Clara's lap. Why don't you want to be with Mr. Julian? Don't you like him? Yes, I do, princess. Then why are you sad? Clara looked at the 3 pairs of eyes watching her hopefully and realized that Leo was right. Some things were worth fighting for. Julian? Yes? What are the magazines and newspapers going to say when they find out we're still together? They're going to say I'm a lucky man who found an extraordinary woman who loves me for who I am, not for what I have. And what if there are more scandals? Then we'll face them together. Clara, there's something I need to tell you. What? Before I met you, my life was successful but empty. I had money, power, respect, but I had no joy. I had no laughter in my house. I had no one who looked at me the way you look at me. How do I look at you? As if I see the man I really am, not just the millionaire. As if you love me, despite my flaws, not for my achievements. Clara felt tears streaming down her cheeks. Because that's how I love you. Then marry me. Silence filled the room. Leo and Mia watched with wide eyes. What? Clara whispered. Julian got off the sofa and knelt in front of her, taking a small velvet box from his pocket. Clara Hayes, will you marry me? Will you be my wife, Sophie's mother, and let me be the father of Leo and Mia? Say yes, Mommy, Mia shouted. Please say yes, Leo added. Clara looked at the ring. Simple but beautiful. Exactly what she would have chosen for herself. And then she looked at Julian, who watched her with all his love visible in his eyes. Are you sure? She asked. Even with all the drama, all the negative publicity, all the complications? Especially with all that, Julian replied. Because all that showed me that what I feel for you is real. It's strong enough to overcome any obstacle. And the children? Are you ready to be a dad to 3 children? Clara, these children already love me, and I already love them. Sophie, Leo, and Mia are siblings in everything but blood. What I'm asking is that we make official what already exists in our hearts. Clara thought of everything she had been through, from that day when she saved Sophie to this moment. She thought of how she had started as a desperate cleaning employee, and now she had the opportunity to lead a program that would help other women like her. She thought of how her children had blossomed, how Sophie had found the siblings she needed, how Julian had found a real family. Yes, she finally said. Yes, I will marry you. The shouts of joy from Leo and Mia filled the apartment as Julian slid the ring onto her finger and kissed her as if she were the most precious thing in the world. Can we call Sophie? Mia asked excitedly. We can go tell her in person, Julian replied. An hour later, they were all at Julian's house, where Sophie screamed with joy when she heard the news. I'm finally going to have a mommy and siblings, she exclaimed, hugging Clara tightly. And I'm finally going to have the family I always wanted, Clara replied, hugging all 3 children. 6 months later, the wedding was the most beautiful news in all the newspapers. Instead of focusing on the scandal, the media covered the real love story, how an act of heroism had led to finding true love. The Second Chances program had already helped 50 women find stable jobs and rebuild their lives. Clara had found her true calling. Davies had been arrested for extortion, and the Grand Regent Hotel had completely changed management. But more important than all that, Julian, Clara, Sophie, Leo, and Mia had created a family full of love, laughter, and second chances. Do you know what's the most incredible thing about this whole story? Clara told Julian one night, as they watched the three children playing in the garden. What? That it all started with an act of love, saving a child, and ended with love saving all of us. Do you think Sophie remembers that day? I asked her last week. Do you know what she told me? She told me she doesn't remember being scared. She only remembers feeling safe in my arms, and that she knew immediately that I was going to be her new mommy. Julian smiled, pulling Clara closer. Children always know the truth before adults. And as they watched their family, a family built not by blood, but by love, sacrifice, and second chances, Clara knew she had finally found her place in the world. Because sometimes, the best families are the ones we create when we have the courage to open our hearts and fight for true love.